After a rough year in 2024, let's see if the projection looks any better in 2025 for Maryland. And here is that's actually before we get to the schedule, let's look back at the projections from the last 4 years. So in 2021, they were projected to go again with our projected record formula. Projected to go 6-6, they went 6-6. In 2022, projected to go 6-6, they went 7-5. In 23, projected to go 7-5, they did go 7-5. So actually, if you look at those 3 years, two of them right on the mark, and then one they did beat the projection by one game. But last year they were under the projection by 2 games. Projected to go 6-6, they went 4-8. But interesting that the projection has been 6-6 3 out of the last 4 years. So here is that schedule, and this is the scale that we use, and this is all based off of our tier rankings. There is no human element here. It's all based off of the math and the numbers. So Maryland is a tier 5 team, which means if they play another tier 5 team, it's going to be a 50-50 game. If they play a tier 6 team, then the game will be in the purple, 61 to 70%. But if that game's on the road, then it becomes a 50-50 game. So that's kind of the way it works. Let's get right into it, and we'll start with the easy wins. You got Towson and Florida Atlantic, FAU. These are games that Maryland should win. Obviously, Florida Atlantic's probably closer to 80%. And then, anytime you've got an FCS team, that's going to be close to 100%. But those are your easy wins for Maryland. And again, a pretty easy non-conference schedule. But Northern Illinois is not a team you can really count as a guaranteed win. We've got that one in the blue. I do think Maryland's probably a double-digit favorite in this game, 10 to 13 points. But it's a team that did beat Notre Dame last year, one of the better teams out of the MAC. So you cannot overlook that opponent. Maryland should win, but not guaranteed. So those are really the only games where they're going to be clear favorites. If we go to the other side of this, and we've actually got Illinois in the red. And again, this is where the human element comes into play. I don't know that I'd put that one in the red. Honestly, I think Michigan's probably going to be a tougher game than Illinois. But Illinois is a tier 2 team, and the fact that that game is on the road, when you look at Indiana and Michigan, also tier 2 teams, those games are at home, and that's why they're not in the red. They're going to be in the orange. So they're in that 20 to 29% range. It is at home for Maryland, so there's a chance they pull off an upset maybe in one of these two games. But obviously it'll be very tough. They probably will be 2 touchdown underdogs at least in these 2 games. All right, how about games in the yellow? We actually have several of these. So these are the games again where Maryland's going to be an underdog, but not a huge underdog, and they should definitely have a chance to maybe pull off at least one win in these 4 games, just kind of based off of how the odds usually play out. Wisconsin on the road, you've got Nebraska, you've got UCLA on the road, and then you got Michigan State, which is basically a road game as well. These will be tough. And if Maryland is going to have a good year, and if they're going to have a chance to maybe get to a bowl game, they're going to have to win one of these games, at least, in my opinion. You got to win your 3 non-conference games. You got to win one of these, and then you got to finish out and win both the 50-50 games. And that would be Washington and Rutgers. So Rutgers is in the same tier as Maryland. They're in tier 5, so of course that's a 50-50 game. Washington is in a tier above Maryland, but that game's at home for them, so that's why this one is a 50-50 game. So those are ones, again, if Maryland's going to get to a bowl game, they probably have to win both of those games, and then they got to knock off one of these teams in the yellow. That's going to be tough. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's going to be tough. And then, of course, you can't overlook Northern Illinois. You lose that game. If Maryland loses to NIU, I would say they probably have pretty much no chance of getting to a bowl game. That's just kind of the way it is here. So a tough path to get there, but there are some opportunities with some of these opponents. So what's the projection? Well, the projection actually comes out to 6-6, so a little bit higher than maybe I would have expected. Now, I will say it was closer to 5-7 than it was to 6-6. Or excuse me, it's closer to 5-7 than 7-5. The number was like 5 point. I can't remember the exact number. It was a little over 5.5. So yeah, if I'm putting an over/under on Maryland, I'm probably putting it at 5.5. But a projection of 6-6, pretty, that would be a good season in my opinion. So if they do win those 3 non-conference games and you split the 50-50 games, that means they pull off 2 upsets with Wisconsin, Nebraska, UCLA, Michigan State. Maybe you throw Indiana and Michigan in there as well. If those games are in the red, then this projection would obviously be a lower, and it would not have them go into a bowl game. But just having a little bit of a chance to win those 2 games does give them a chance to potentially get to 6-6 and bounce back in 2025.